plötsligt blås in solen som en bulle. Ditt hår det bryter över hela kuppen.
It's funny when I look back on it now. It seems so normal, so visceral, so right. I can still picture their smiles, hear the lull of their voices as they sang me to sleep with melodies of a strange tongue. It sounds like a dream come true, and it was. Every man's fantasy. Tender, caring, strong-willed, and proud. Some said you couldn't meet one without falling in love. Gorgeous, tall, blonde, and beautiful. Seemingly so perfect you almost didn't want to touch them for fear of corrupting their beauty. I've often thought, why me? Why was I so blessed? What did I have to offer? But then again, I guess nothing in life is ever crystal clear, not until it's long in the past. Then it all comes together, then you know how special it was and that a part of you is gone. It was a cold, windy January day. The Mistral, the notorious wind that blows off the backs of the French Alps and hurtles down through the canyons and valleys towards the ever-calm Mediterranean, was blowing with a winter's fury. The festivities of Christmas in the south of France had finally abated. On that day I laid eyes on my first Swedish woman. She caught my gaze with her eyes. It's always the eyes with me, something about them. Their ability to express the slightest emotion. I get caught in them. I've learned now to be careful as to whose eyes I center in my gaze. They kept me in their grasp. I was dumbstruck. I couldn't move, think, let alone speak, so I just stared. It began simply as smiles and kind gestures, but in tune with the seasons, our connection sprouted and blossomed with the coming spring. The start of summer brought the cold, hard truth that I was to leave that majestic place. My roots were pulling me home, and as much as I wished to stay, America was calling. For many reasons, of which this story is but one, a piece of my heart was left in Aix-en-Provence, that city between mountain and sea. After returning to America, I was intent in my quest to bring her to me, if only for a short while. It didn't matter when or where or why, only that I must. After months of anticipation and anxiety, of endless waiting, I made the long drive to the airport. Annika would be waiting along with one of her best friends. I had never seen her friend Felipe. I knew I just had to look for the two most beautiful blonde women in the place. There would be no mistaking these two. Greeting them with 2 roses, I was ecstatic. That night, they slept peacefully in my bed. I slept on the couch. Their arrival came one day before my 22nd birthday. Later, I would often tell them they were the best birthday presents I'd ever had. They would be staying with me for over 1 month. After experiencing the lights, the noise, the smog, and the maze of the car-congested arterial highways that is Los Angeles, we decided something a little more relaxing was in order. We stowed whatever we could fit in my 2-door red P-Dog. The 2 long-limbed Swedish girls didn't leave much room for supplies. And strapping the ever-present armada of surfboards that seems to follow me wherever I go, we set out for the open road. I didn't know what our journey would entail, who we would meet, how things would unfold. I'd like to think we all knew we were embarking on something special, something we would remember for the rest of our lives. Our voyage took us through the chaotic and dusty madness of my birthday bash in Rosarito Beach, Mexico, to the solitudes of California's Lost Coast, and finally to my city of love, San Francisco. On the road, we were all fun and games. Their laughter was infectious, their smiles utterly contagious. The pavement flowed beneath us as we grew ever closer. Every day offered to be better than the previous. We journeyed all over, waking up in another town with different people and places. We found solace in the trust that we would be there for one another, and that was all any of us needed. My frequent jaunts into the cold Pacific Ocean grew even more satisfying as in my moments of solitude among the waves, I knew what was waiting for me on shore. Our days were spent laughing, playing, being utterly carefree. Whenever I was not busy catering to one of my beautiful companions, I was snapping away photos. When they were sleeping, when they were awake, when they were sad, when they were overjoyed, and when they didn't even know I was there. I'd never experienced such compelling muses, and I knew it wouldn't last forever. Each morning when I would wake up, I would feel as if I should still be dreaming. Often they were the only 2 people around me for miles. Each day was full of promise. I quickly stopped caring about their frequent and secretive conversations in Swedish. I let my imagination run wild. I would intently listen, comprehending nothing but pretending I understood some of it. Really, it was just music to my ears. They both sang with beautiful voices that would ring clear and crisp through the cold night air, soothing my mind and body to sleep nestled under the stars between my 2 Swedes. I think my face began to get stuck in a ridiculous upturned smile. Other men would see me and wonder what in the hell I was so happy about, until they saw my girls, and then all questions would disappear. At first, Felipe had been quiet and reserved. On day 1, she was cold as ice. As the days passed, her transformation was incredible to watch. The warm California sun and the nurturing environment we all provided for each other was doing wonders. Every day, she seemed to be filled with ever-increasing joy. Annika recalled later that she had never seen Felipa so alive, so carefree. She was breaking her own boundaries every day, experiencing new sights, sounds, and feelings all for the first time. She was coming out of her shell, and it was absolutely enchanting to watch. Anyone who has ever experienced it knows that one never looks for love and finds it, but rather it will pounce on your soul when you least expect it. Felipa and I were falling madly. How would this play out? What would come of this chance occurrence? Just like every other day of the trip, we went with it, dove in head first. Changed things slightly. Annika seemed indifferent at first. It didn't really change anything between us. We still felt the same about each other. Just now we had to share Felipa. There were rough patches, but we all helped each other along the way. Our bonds grew strong and deep. Sometimes the three of us would seem to think as one. Nothing could be hidden. If one of us was far away, the other was always close by. As the trip unfolded, I was utterly amazed at what had become routine habits for me. Having both of them around me all the time was transforming a part of me. I was akin to talk less and listen more, to ask more questions and make less statements, to think hard before I spoke. These women taught me so much. Together we learned about love and friendship, about jealousy and forgiveness, about tears of joy and tears of sorrow. I would teach them about the rhythms of the Pacific Ocean, of the woods and wild animals, of the hedonistic San Francisco lifestyle. And they would teach me about letting go of my concerns, of Icelandic horses and poetry, of what it feels like to be deprived of sunlight for 4 months and let loose in California. They taught me a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about the subtleties of women. We were all changing each other's lives in ways we couldn't even fathom. We were living free and fast, yet as man and woman are forever bound to the celestial rhythms of fate, the sun soon set on our time together. We all knew it would happen, yet none was ready when it did. With their departure, another piece of me was taken. Is it the fate of man to be spread thin across the globe, in ever-changing cycles of love and despair, of want and desire, of sadness and fear? I think not. Not me, at least, not anymore. I'm much more guarded with my heart. I don't offer it easily and don't ask for much in return. Since they left, that feeling of overwhelming completeness, of being purely content as is, has been missing from my life. Sometimes I look for it, but I don't expect to find it. I'm sure someday it will again find me. Though I doubt that I will ever journey with my two Swedes again as one, the hope is there. The fire has dwindled to an ember, but it is not yet extinguished.